Here are some reactions from Black Americans on the flooding that happened in Kerrville, Texas at Camp Mystic on July 4th. Check it out.
I know y'all don't want to hear it, but that's all that's happening in Texas. You motherfucking white folks getting what y'all ass deserve slowly but surely. Until y'all start giving us our fucking property back, our land, till y'all ass admit that y'all stole this shit, till y'all stop acting like you don't know what the fuck going on, shit gonna be fucked up. Alright? Yeah. Mother Nature, come through. Church.
And look at you. I feel so bad for these kids because these kids are innocent children, nothing to be able to live and enjoy their time growing up and be happy and fed and all those types of things. Now, they racist ass parents, that's another story. Now, as sad as it is that the flood come through this area, I began to look up the area's racial history. And it's a miracle it ain't been wiped out since before now. I mean, on top of you having that racist ass haircut, you also have racial tension within the community for years. And I know you say that the camp employed a couple of black people, but we knew it's more white than it was more white than it is black. Everything was so Petticoat Junction-y on these pictures, you understand? But the city got a stain on it that won't come off. Boy, when George Floyd lost his life, y'all really went crazy down there in that area that's flooded out. There ain't nothing there no more. Then the mayors were even talking shit about Martin Luther King and using a banana beside his picture. It got real bad down there in the area that's been wiped out by a flood. It was so bad that Greg Abbott's racist ass had to tell some of y'all people to retire and resign. So really, the devil was in Kerrville, Texas. Elections have consequences. God bless the babies.
Well, I see that Texas is flooding. Guess y'all getting a little taste of Lake Lanier, huh? Guess y'all getting a little taste of Tulsa, huh? Guess y'all getting a little taste of Black Wall Street, huh? Guess y'all getting a little taste of Rosewood, huh? Yeah, them same waters y'all did to us what y'all did to us. Them same waters is doing to y'all what it's doing to y'all. Boop, boop.
So you mean to tell me this exact flood hit the same river about 30 years ago where unalived kids at a camp? What type of coincidence is that? What type of signal? What type of cycle? That's crazy, y'all. This flood didn't just come out of nowhere. It's like history is repeating itself almost 30 years to the day. Back in 1987, the same Guadalupe River flooded. A wall of water came crashing down Hill County and swept away a church camp full of teens. And this was back in 1987. Look at the video.
On Friday morning, July 17th, 1987, the small town of Comfort, Texas, became the scene of a heroic rescue and tragic loss. Much of the footage you will see was taped on that day by the banks of the Guadalupe River. It was the day they were supposed to go home. The more than 300 children at the church camp were awakened early. The river was flooded. If they didn't leave soon,
this is crazy.
Might not be able to leave at all. They come in there rushing us up and everything. Tell us get up, get bags and all this stuff. And everybody's asking why. They said we gotta get out of here because the river was flowing over. And we started going around the corner. We want to go down the hill, then water started coming in the bus and stuff. We tried to back up, but then the bus got stuck, so they made all of us get out of the bus. And that's whenever the first wave hit.
So back then, it was 10 kids that were unalived. Now you got over 80 people that were unalived on this one. Question I want to ask is, if they knew this happened before, why did they let them people build another camp in the same exact place? And why didn't they upgrade the flood system? What? Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments. This shit crazy.
President Trump, I believe you could have prevented what happened in Texas. Those floods are on your hands because I told you a month ago God sent me to warn you that if you didn't get the descendants of stolen people out of your land, he would ravage your land himself. And sure enough, what are we seeing? Things we've never seen before. But what happened in Texas, God bless those people's soul, are a small portion. That's a small segment of what you're going to see in the coming weeks and months from heaven itself, ravaging your nation. I presented the Rep 2025 offer to you. That's God's peace proposal to you. We've had thousands of people go to jointhecall.org, sign the petition, join the call, telling you they want to leave. President Trump, when you sign this deal with Liberia or Sierra Leone, if that's the Father's will, we will leave. We will be part of your America First agenda. We will help you get the captives out. We will tell our friends and family. We have people who want to leave, whether they believe this is Babylon, whether they believe they want to go build a nation, whether they believe that it is going back to their ancestral roots. For whatever reason, we are gathering all of them at jointhecall.org to come to you in October. If we don't hear from you, we will be outside the White House letting you know that your nation is being destroyed, that lives, blood is on your hands until you sign these deals and send the captives out. We are not doing this because we are against you. God has sent me because he is trying to warn you and save lives. But you must heed the call. One of those politicians in your office are having dreams. Tell them to come to you and figure out, tell me about these dreams you having, and let them tell you that what that brother is telling you is correct. And until it happens, you're going to see death, violence, famine, pestilence on every corner of your nation. Blood is on your hands. Make the call. Get in touch with us.
So let me get this right. So we barely are funding FEMA. We have defunded a lot of the National Weather Services. So now that there are 24 people unalived in Kerrville, Texas, because of this current administration. See, everybody keeps thinking that it's going to be a FAFO. And then in a couple of years, when there's the 26 midterms, then people are going to forget. I don't think so. I think the spirits are angered enough all over the world. And the Wichita people are angered enough all over the world. And there's enough manifestation. There's enough universe energy that's mad out in the world that I think there is a reckoning gonna happen. You hear me? So, yes, send prayers, all the things. But I'm telling you, the fact that these people are not about to get no help, and the fact that there's so many more of these storms about to happen and so many more people, I'm telling you, these red states, including the red state I live in, is about to be jacked up. I'm not saying it's not going to happen in other states too, but I'm saying trouble coming. Be prepared. Get your cash out. Have your survival kits. Learn how to read a freaking map. Trouble cometh. Trouble is coming.
So are we going to pretend like these weather events and occurrences aren't happening where YTPPL are specifically? Are we just going to sit here and pretend like there's something spiritual that's not affecting specifically what they are? Okay? I told y'all, judgment is here on them. Black Americans, the real JEWSs, the real JEWSs, the real JEWSs from the same tribe as Yahweh Shai with Jesus Christ. The ones who chose the Most High, like, we're good. And even the Gentiles who chose us and sided with us and accept who we are, gonna be good. But the Most High know how to judge around and do things, bro. Like, I'm in TX right now, right? I'm completely unaffected, right? So he knows how to judge. He know where his sons and daughters are at, right? So calm your mind. But we're not gonna sit here and pretend like, you know. And this is why I saw an interview, where Al-Roker, he was talking about how things are going to get worse with the weather, because that's how the Most High is judging them. And it was he said something really ironic and odd. He was like, as he was closing his statement, right? He was like, yeah, remember, the weather doesn't care about your COLOR or your RACE. And I'm like, that's interesting to say. Because it does, right? See, they try to get in front of it because they knew people would like me would come out and say things like this, like it's affected specifically with YTPPR are. Okay, so they do that. So now you gotta get in your mind. Like, yeah, the weather doesn't care about RACE. Yes, it does, bro. Absolutely does. Absolutely does.
Dookie Booty and Elon are to blame for the 78 deaths in Texas. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. If they would have never came and gutted our fucking services, the NOAA and the NWS, then we wouldn't be having these fucking problems. Because people would have got fair warning to get the fuck up out of there before the flood hit. But since Elon and Doge wanted to come through and get all our fucking services, all we've been dealing with is plane crashes, tornadoes, and floods, and people not getting any type of fucking warning because they don't have enough staff to warn people like they need to and to start evacuations like they need to. So now blood is on their hands, and can't nobody tell me different. They've already confirmed 5 deaths from the camp, which are little girls ages 8 to 9, and then they have 11 missing people from the camp, including 1 counselor. The others are little girls. But all of this shit could have been avoided. And Dookie Booty got the nerve to try to blame Biden, talking about it didn't have nothing to do with the NOAA or the NWS, that it was Biden's setup. And then turn around and say, but I won't blame Biden. I'll just say it's a historical tragedy. Yeah, you're not going to say it's Biden because it's not his fucking fault. You're the one who gutted our fucking programs.
Republicans are like a dog chasing a car. What happens when they actually catch it? I told y'all, all that barking and all that running, it's all fun and games just as long as they don't catch it. But the second they do, they stand there all confused like, well, what do we do now? Texas just caught the damn car. They've been running around telling folks we don't need federal government. FEMA is wasteful. Big government is the problem. And then boom, a massive flood. We have chaos, people suffering. And now Texas is standing there, tail between their legs, wondering if maybe, just maybe, they might need help. But see, when you vote for people that tell you government shouldn't help you, you shouldn't be surprised when government doesn't help you. See, that's the game that they play. Cut everything, sell you a fantasy about bootstraps and freedom, and then when the shit gets real, suddenly they're scrambling for the very help they told you to defund. So now Republicans have to either become the thing that they demonize, socialists, or literally let people drown. And that is the cruelty of it all. This is the freedom you voted for. Freedom to suffer, freedom to go without, and the freedom to figure it out all on your own. But hey, at least you're free, right?
Don't let these headlines fool you. This is more than about those 23 girls that are missing. I am going to expose the truth, so pay attention, stay to the end, it'll be worth it. This is what happens when a nation gets so comfortable, so prideful, and spiritually numb, they ignore the same river that already killed our kids before. This happened in 1987, the same Gulave River, same Texas Hill Country, same kind of camp environment, except 10 girls died there in a flash flood. Instead of building a dam, instead of installing flood sirens, instead of issuing mandatory safety measures for those kids, what did they do? They settled out of court. You guessed it. The insurance paid off the families. Everybody wiped their hands, and they moved like it was just a freak accident. So fast forward 40 years later, we got Camp Mystic, this high-end exclusive girls camp for Christian teens, right? Rich, well-connected. Land is worth $8 million. Camp fees running between $4,000 and $6,000 per kid. So a $30,000 siren system, they could have raised that in one meeting, but because they didn't want that place to look dangerous, they didn't want their insurance premiums to go up. They definitely didn't want people questioning their legacy. And with that being the case, then you have to ask the question, then why would you drop or leave your 7-year-old daughter off in a flood zone? Why are you trusting strangers to raise them into a woman of God in 2 weeks anyway? I don't even believe that hype. But why are you not looking at the floodplain map before you sending your baby across state lines, especially if this has already happened before? It's tradition. You guessed it. They're caught up in image, Instagram pictures, and the fact that they went to Mystic when they were little kids. And in that regard, they're leaving their discernment at the gate. But the Bible tells us that the love of many will wax cold. You want to know what cold love looks like? It looks like ignoring a flood zone because you don't want to lose donors. It looks like calling it an act of God. Really, it was an act of man's pride. It looks like trusting wealth over wisdom. And so you're telling me nobody could have seen this coming. That river rose 30 feet in the same place it did in 1987. Still no sirens, no evacuation plans, no warning system. But I bet they got new cabins. I bet they got manicured trails. I bet they got devotional and team chants and Bible verses all on the wall. Now, I'm not saying that every parent is careless. I'm saying some of y'all were too tired, too trusting, too desperate for a break that you drop your daughter off and never ask if she was spiritually and physically protected. You assume Christian count means safe. You assume legacy meant God was covering it. But God does not cover what we refuse to confront. And I'm tired of watching our daughters suffer because of lazy leaders and lukewarm parents. And I'm tired of watching churches, camps, and ministries call themselves faith-based while ignoring the very wisdom God gave them. This isn't persecution. This is negligence dressed up in prayer circles. That camp had 40 years of warning. They had the money. They had the connections. They had the storm forecast, but they did nothing. And now everybody want to cry tragedy, act of God. No, this was preventable, and this was known. To the parents of the kids, listen to me. You got to ask questions before you sign that check. Because if your baby goes missing, it won't be the glossy brochure or the cross on the camp wall that saves them. We're praying for those missing girls. We stand with the families, but we also cut the head of this lazy spirit behind Christian culture that's been there for too long. Enough with the silence, enough with the comfort. The river already warned us once. And this time, we cannot act surprised.
The Trump administration made deep budget cuts for NOAA and FEMA, two key agencies that help Americans prepare for and survive natural disasters. NOAA, which handles weather forecasting and storm tracking, faced cuts up to 17%, weakening early warning systems and storm predictions. FEMA, responsible for emergency response, had millions redirected to fund immigration enforcement, even during active hurricane seasons. These decisions are leading to slower disaster response. By downplaying climate science and shifting priorities, the administration is leaving Americans more vulnerable during floods, hurricanes, and wildfires. Kerrville, Texas, nestled in the scenic hill country about 65 miles northwest of San Antonio, is known today for its natural beauty, retirement communities, and festivals. But beneath its peaceful image lies a complex history shaped by racial exclusion, economic elitism, and social segregation. Kerrville was founded in the 1840s by Anglo settlers. The area quickly became a hub for ranching, hunting, and trade, largely dominated by German and Anglo-American immigrants. By the late 19th century, Kerrville's economy was growing, but it was structured around a racially stratified society. Like much of Texas, Kerrville embraced the Jim Crow system after Reconstruction. Black residents and Mexican Americans were often restricted to specific neighborhoods, denied equal education, and excluded from political and economic life. The Ku Klux Klan had a presence throughout Central Texas in the early 20th century, including in nearby areas, and racial terror often silenced dissent. While Kerrville didn't experience the large-scale violence of East Texas towns, racism was institutional. African Americans and Tejanos were often relegated to labor roles in agriculture, janitorial work, or domestic service. Schools and public facilities were segregated, and voter suppression laws ensured that white elites remained in control. Kerrville's development as a retirement and tourism destination brought in wealthier, largely white residents beginning in the mid-20th century. Institutions like the Schreiner family, ranching and banking elites, and others created a culture of economic elitism. The town promoted a conservative, insulated image, favoring business interests and tourism over addressing systemic inequality. This elitism was visible in housing segregation, limited opportunities for non-white residents, and a reluctance to acknowledge or fund diverse cultural institutions. While some progress has been made in recent decades, the wealth gap remains stark. Land ownership, political influence, and business leadership continue to reflect historic racial divides. Today, Kerrville is over 80% white, with small but growing Black and Latino populations. The area still struggles with the legacy of racial exclusion, lack of cultural representation, and limited access to upward mobility for minorities. Issues like gentrification, affordable housing, and underrepresentation in schools and government remain concerns for many longtime residents of color. This is divine judgment. America is under judgment, not by man, but by God himself. The same God who judged Egypt, who judged Babylon, who judged Rome, is now weighing America in the balance and finding her wanting. America has sown destruction, and now it reaps decline. It has sown arrogance, and now it reaps humiliation. It has sown lies, and now it reaps truth, truth that cannot be hidden anymore. America is a land built on blood, on the sweat and suffering of the people it has enslaved, displaced, and silenced. But tell that truth today, and they call it divisive. They call it unpatriotic. They want you to believe that history is just a collection of dates and figures, stripped of the brutality, the deception, the theft. They tell you the Trail of Tears was just relocation, that the Colfax Massacre, Wilmington Coup and Massacre, Rosewood Massacre, Atlanta Race Massacre, Ocoee Massacre, Tulsa Massacre, Harlem Race Massacres of 1943 and 1964 was just riots, and that Jim Crow was merely a setback. What they refuse to admit is that America was never a nation of freedom. It was a nation of conquest, built on white supremacy, and it has never stopped being one. And that is why they are so desperate to erase the past. You see, history, real history, has power. It reveals the truth of this nation, of what was done and what is still being done. They call it critical race theory today, but it's just the truth, and that's why they fight so hard to bury it. From school boards banning books, to politicians scrubbing slavery, from textbooks, to social media platforms, silencing voices that dare speak honestly about America's past. White supremacy is culturally ingrained into every aspect of white society, in the home, school, religion, and politics. But tell me, what does it say about a people who fear history? It says they know their hands are bloody, and they are terrified that their children will ask them why. Because the truth would destroy their illusion of innocence. The same way it did when the world saw Black Wall Street burn. The same way it did when Jim Crow's chains were exposed for what they were. The same way it did when the Southern strategy was revealed as a blueprint for racial control, not democracy. But America has always had a strategy. Slave patrols became the police. Redlining became modern real estate steering. The plantation became the prison. And now, they want to act like none of it happened. They want to rewrite history to keep future generations obedient, ignorant, docile. And yet, what they don't understand is that you cannot erase pain. You cannot erase memory. You cannot erase the reality of people who have suffered and endured. This nation made laws to steal land from Native people. The Homestead Act gave free land to whites while barring Black freedmen Americans from ownership. The Immigration Act of 1924 made sure America remained a white country, closing its doors to those it deemed unfit. And when we, Black freedmen Americans, dared to build wealth, dared to thrive, they sent mobs, they sent bombs, they sent laws disguised as justice to tear down Black freedmen Americans' communities. And it wasn't enough for them to unalive us. They had to erase us. They built highways through our neighborhoods, turning communities into ghettos. They passed California Proposition 14 to uphold segregation. They used COINTELPRO to assassinate Black leaders. They used the daughters of Confederates to put Confederate statues in our faces, not in 1865, but during the Civil Rights Movement, as a warning, as a message. And still, they want us to believe in their version of America, an America where slavery was a misunderstanding, where the Tuskegee experiment was a footnote, where mass incarceration is just an accident. No, sir. No, ma'am. White supremacy is in the bones of this country, in the schools, the churches, the homes, the politics. It is a disease, and they refuse to cure it. But there is something they should fear more than the truth being known. They should fear what happens when the next generation realizes they have been lied to. What happens when young people of all colors understand that history was stolen from them, that their textbooks were propaganda, that their teachers were ordered to deceive. A people who know they have been deceived do not trust, and a people who do not trust begin to question everything. That is what America fears most. Not the past, but the reckoning it demands. And that reckoning is coming. No matter how many books they ban, no matter how many voices they silence, no matter how many lies they tell, truth is like a flame. It spreads. And once it touches the people, it cannot be extinguished. The question is not whether America will reckon with its past. The question is whether America will survive what it has done. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.